Technology is expanding every day. One of the great new technologies a lot of us have been enjoying is artificial intelligence in some form or another. My next guest, Scott Baradell, coming back on the James Show from Idea Growth. My producer was telling me there was a lawyer in Beaumont who was citing fake AI-generated cases. I mean, how much trouble are people finding AI to be, or just intentionally getting in trouble with AI these days? I mean, they're finding new and innovative ways to commit crimes.
Yeah, well, this is happened ruling in federal court last week. Is a Beaumont, Texas attorney named Brandon Monk, and he was representing a plaintiff in a wrongful termination case against Goodyear, the tire company. And he just happened to include in his filing a bunch of made-up, non-existent legal precedents and cases because he just asked ChatGPT instead of actually doing the research.
Ooh, how do you think he'd get away with that?
Well, I think there's the mistaken impression of a lot of people, even though you would think people would know at this point that ChatGPT is always accurate, and it's not. In fact, there was a study recently that showed 52% of ChatGPT responses have at least one inaccuracy in them. So you better check your sources.
Okay. I just think if you submit a case, the judge has the ability to go to a computer and see, okay, let me see if this case pulls up. And it just seems like something you could be easily busted for.
Yeah, I think, what all these lawyers say, this happened within the last year in Colorado. The first time it really happened and made a big case was in the New York Times with a New York attorney did this in early 2023. So it keeps happening, keeps being the same thing, which is they're not taking the time to do real case research, which I guess is very time-consuming and laborious. They're not even taking the time to check the work. And then afterwards, you could read stories about these cases. Their lawyers all just say, "Oh, I'm so overwhelmed and overworked, and I didn't have time." And well, the result has been people have been suspended from the bar. They've been fired from their firms. So they should probably find a way to make the time.
Yeah, I've heard stories about people in my business, whether I'm on a radio station or a TV station. We all have websites where we're putting up news stories, and people have been busted getting AI to write their news story so they could get more done in a day, and they got fired for that.
Well, there's two things. There's one is that the ChatGPT can kind of have a artificial sameness to it, so it doesn't have an authentic feel. And there's another thing that it can have, incorrect information in there, and it's not that you can't use it or you shouldn't use it. You should, but it's a tool. It's not the entire solution. In the legal field, I'll give you some stats that should make lawyers concerned, which is that there's a company called Integris, which is an IT managed service provider that works with law firms. And they did a survey recently that showed that over 70% of law firm clients, it was a survey just of law firm clients, that are very concerned about law firms over-relying on ChatGPT. And they're concerned for a couple reasons. One is things like what's happened with inaccuracies, but also that these lawyers are going to be putting, their personal information within ChatGPT to get responses, and then that information is no longer confidential because none of these tools promise any form of confidentiality with the information that's input into them. So there's a lot of fear that is being stoked by these attorneys that are making these very public mistakes.
All right, tell them about the work you do outside of WBAP.
Well, I have a PR and marketing firm called Idea Growth, and you can come find us at ideagrowth.com. And I also work with Integris, which is the IT firm that's behind the study.
Thank you very much, Scott Baradell from Idea Growth. Appreciate your time, sir.